0-0.
That's impressive. That's more impressive. What's harder, being that bad between three people or being that good from one person?
But Chase needs to fix that anyway because he should have 8, not 7, right? I mean,
no, because I finished with 17, wide receiver 17, so he didn't finish inside the top 10 or 12, whatever we want to call it.
But you finished with the top quarterback, the top running back, and the top tight end, right?
Pretty impressive, bro.
2, 4, 6.
Yeah, we're all really proud of you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Whatever.
Oh, don't worry, we're going to talk about it in the show. We're just giving people time to get in here.
No,
we've
talked about it enough. This is one of those things where I led with it.
Moving on.
So that we don't have to talk about it again.
Moving on.
We talked about it enough. It's over. It happened. We're on to Cincinnati.
Oh, God, you're on to Cincinnati. Here we go. All right, you guys ready to get the show started?
Let's roll, bro.
Go.
Buzz, roll.
I need to sing along.
Oh, yeah.
Shane's got a date tonight.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Shane Manila, Jacob Sanderson, and Chase Vernon.
Oh, what is going on, everybody?
And Gator J.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you. We need to get that fixed. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in Fantasy Intervention. It is week 5. We're going into week 5, I should say. And do we have a ton of content, a ton of information, a ton of laps we got to run just for y'all here in our Wednesday night flagship show. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. You are joined by, of course, myself. You guys can find me at ff_intervention over there on Twitter. We have Gator J over there. You can find him at FantasyJ77. Jacob down below me, Jacob Sanderson at ff_RTDB. And, of course, at Shane is the worst, Shane Manila over there on Twitter. Make sure you guys go follow everybody so that you can, I guess, absorb as much information that they're willing to put on the Twitter sphere for y'all. There's a bunch of good stuff out there. And, of course, follow us for any kind of DMs that you want to send, especially Shane for any kind of dates or, we'll just leave it right there for that. But, yes, here it is. Here is our Wednesday night show. We're excited to jump into week 5. And before we actually get started on the show, how are we doing tonight, fellas? Jacob, we had a little bit of a rough DFS show. We found some secret sauce guys, but overall, week 5 was a little bit rough.
Tough. It was a step back.
How was it overall for you in your season long in your dynasty leagues? Was it just bad for DFS, or was there actually some silver lining?
Yeah, it was a mixed bag, honestly, overall. It was a mixed bag for DFS. Like, all the Charger stuff that I was playing was great, and like Penny was great, but then all the Lion stuff was just so tilting. So that basically ruined the DFS week. But the overall seasonal league, not awesome. It felt like all the gross running backs that were bad for the first 3 weeks, like, really made their presence felt in week 4. So that's just never going to be a fun week for me when, like, all the running backs that I don't like have their big breakout games. So not an overall sterling week. We were back closer to 500 this week after we were kind of rolling for the first few weeks. So hopefully we'll get back on track. I've been waiting for the bad week, and it kind of hit in week 4.
Yeah, it was a little rough. My worst week was week 3. I think week 4 was not nearly as bad. I'm pretty stoked actually on week 4 overall for my season long leagues. Gator J, how'd you do, man? What's your feel going into week 5?
Well, I mean, it's kind of rough week 3, week 4. So I mean, it can only go up from there, right? I mean, the injuries have really hurt me. But that's all right. I've got a bunch of the backups that are now starters, so we should be okay going forward. But Shane, you're the worst when it comes to anybody trying to, brag about their team or anything else.
Oh, Shane, what's going on, man? How is your week looking?
Mine was fine. Look, because I build my running backs around either rookies or garbage cans, and it was a garbage can week. Rashad Penny, Devin Singletary, Khalil Herbert, some other various trash cans, or as the kids call them, the zero RB type running backs.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, whatever. I like trash can running backs. I think that's more poetic and beautiful. So look, this is when it gets fun, right? When injuries start hitting and you have to actually start getting creative and going, all right, I need to trade stuff. Oh, wait, you guys are talking about redraft. I'm sorry. In the lesser form of the game that we play in redraft, you need to make sure that you just hit the waivers.
How much did you spend on Mike Boone or Tyler Allgeier?
Not enough on Mike Boone, that's for sure. I was bidding like 20-30% range in most of the dynasty leagues. I expected to wake up with a big bag of Boone. I got a big bag of nothing.
Yep.
Look, I got a decent sized bag of Nyhiem Williams, and I barely even got any Latavius Murray. People were starved out there on the waiver wire. Like I thought I was going to pick up 20 Boones this morning. I got like 2.
I was not able to get a Boone, but I did get a Tyler Allgeier in one league, so that's fine in my one redraft home league.
This is how much of a sicko I am, is that I actually had already rostered Mike Boone in 8 dynasty leagues before.
I'm a little annoyed I didn't get enough Caleb Huntley.
I wouldn't be that annoyed about that.
I watched my waivers come through in all my listener leagues for the HQs, and I only got them in one league. And I'm a little disappointed.
I overspent on these guys. Like I way overspent. I was thinking like people would end up, selling the farm, and I was like, you know what? I'll throw out 37 on Boone during the Scott Fish Bowl and another $23 on Caleb Huntley, and I ended up with both those guys, which I'm like, fuck, like this sucks now. I end up having $60 of my fab just blowing on backup running backs. I'm like, shit, I thought people would at least up it a little bit. I didn't expect to get both. I thought I'd only end up with one, but not bad overall. Now, before we end up diving into week 5 and some of the top news and everything, I do want to discuss a little bit of what happened last week. We played this little game where we try to pick players outside the top 20 to fish inside the top 10. And honestly, I completely demolished these guys. I didn't allow a single other point to be had. I ended up with Geno Smith, who finished out as QB2, Miles Sanders, who finished out as QB or running back 3, Chris Olave, wide receiver 17, and Disley, tight end 8. Nobody else got a point. I swept you all. Y'all suck at fantasy football. You should go cry because guess who's in first place now? It's me, suckers. It's me. Shane, you ain't got shit. You didn't end up in first this week. I got your ass. Let's go. Let's go ahead.
Did I win? I won 2 weeks in a row. I don't recall being this abrasive and obnoxious, but that's okay.
I just you're going to sit here and brag about how good you did with your quarterback, running back, and your tight end, but you sucked at wide receiver. Just
wide receiver 17. I'll take it. It's
painful.
It's not slaughtered. It's really not easy to pick these, and for me to come through with all 4 positions is
Jesus.
It's nuts. Like I must be a prodigy.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh my God! Someone get him off the show.
Yeah. Can we get a trucker to tune up one right here? I mean, good Lord.
Oh man!
I don't even know what the season standings are. By the way, I have no idea.
What Chase has a lot more points than we do.
It
was like really close until this week. Now it's not very close.
It's even closer because we were actually really tight on everything. I mean, except for me, I was so far behind because I was picking all these like Kenny Gainwells and shit. But I have 8 points. James has 7.
Stop.
Wait. You have 8, and that included this past week?
Correct. Yeah. That's my point.
Oh, I thought you started at 8.
No.
So had you scored a point before this week?
I had 1 point.
Oh my God. The prodigy himself.
I thought the prodigy already had 8, and then we were going to add all your new points
this whole week. No, I was getting my ass.
I thought you were 8 plus 7. You're just 8. Close. Oh my goodness. Okay, then everybody's all close.
Yeah.
We don't need to hear your shit. What is this?
All right, well, you guys are going to babble. I'm going to go look at players.
Chase is the Rashad Penny of this sheet. He was terrible and useless for 3.5 games. And then all of a sudden he comes out and him and his Twitter stands are all loudmouths because he had 1 half. Chase is the Rashad Penny of this program.
All right, we got questions. Come on. People
All right,
don't
we do
care
have
about
questions.
you, Chase.
We are going to hop on to the questions, of course. Before we do, I want to discuss a few of these injuries and what's going on, because I'm sure a lot of these questions are going to involve the injuries. Obviously, Main Event comes in and says injuries and upcoming bye weeks are going to separate the boys from the men. So let's talk a little bit about some of these injuries. Let's talk about some Jonathan Taylor to start it out with. Jonathan Taylor is out for this upcoming week. Hasn't looked healthy thus far. So are you guys willing to play Deion Keynes of the world, the Nyhiem Hines of the world? Like, what's the thought process behind how you might possibly attack Indianapolis, if at all? We'll start out with you, Jacob, since you're the resident Colts fan.
What to do with Indianapolis, guys?
Yeah, are you touching the running back room or no?
Yeah, I'd play Hines. I mean, I think Hines is gonna catch a lot of balls this week. For sure. He's gonna grab some balls this week for sure. And that's about it. Like Hines in PPR, I am so excited for 6 carries for 10 yards, but 9 catches for 50 yards. It's just makes my heart sing. But that's probably the only guy who I'd be really relying. I mean, if you have Pittman, you're probably starting him, but I don't love the matchup this week against Patrick Surtain. And without Jonathan Taylor to really keep anybody honest, Pittman's the only skill player of note that the Colts have. So I would guess we're looking at kind of an inefficient game for Pittman, and he's probably going to need a touchdown to be a top 24 wide receiver this week, if I had to guess. But at the same time, you're probably still starting him. It's just not a week I'd expect him to pop off. Hines could start, but the Colts are just a dreary, dreary team right now. I can't see myself watching this game on Thursday, except to just watch Hines catch balls down 15 points and go point for the entire fourth quarter.
All right, Shane, what are you doing with the whole Atlanta Falcons rushing attack over there? Are we taking Tyler Allgeier? Are we taking Caleb Huntley? What are you doing over there with the I guess the game this week? Let's go ahead and just dive into what we're doing for week 5 versus the future.
Yeah, I'm starting Allgeier this weekend in one league, but that's about as much conviction as I have for it because Caleb Huntley split touches with him after Cordarrelle Patterson went down. I can't say his name right.
How about Cortado Patterson?
Cortado, I like that. Nelly Furtado Patterson. When Nelly Furtado Patterson went down.
What is happening?
I'm going to go with Allgeier just because, he's actually been on the active roster all season as opposed to Caleb Huntley. But I don't think you're going to see, an 80-20 split. I think we're going to see something like a 60-40 split. And hopefully they continue to lean on the run if you're an Allgeier, someone that rosters him. Not so much if you're someone that rosters Drake London or the missing tight end Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, Parker Hess. Can I quickly chime in on this Falcons thing? I've spent way too much time analyzing the Falcons backfield every week for Hitchhiker's Guide to Running Back, just because it's been interesting. And so they've basically been running this 3-part backfield all year, where you have one guy, which had been Patterson, who was essentially the lead back at about a 60% rate or so on early down rushing. And then he was also getting a lot of early down routes. And then they had a complimentary back who was also playing early downs, but only for rushing situations. And then they kind of would have this third back that would only be there for really obvious passing situations in which they don't usually have a running back in a route. It would just be mostly pass blocking. And that was Avery Williams. And then the first week it was Damian Williams was getting the early down compliment. Then it was Allgeier. And then when Patterson went out this week, they kind of switched it where Caleb Huntley took almost the Allgeier role where he's getting early down rushing. Allgeier was still getting his rushing workload, but he was the one actually running a lot of the early down routes. And he was getting more, frankly, the same kind of routes that Patterson was getting. So I think that we'll see what happens this week. And certainly when Damian Williams comes back, that could re-alter things again. But I think Tyler Allgeier is kind of a fun start because I actually think he has some pass catching upside too with the way that he was deployed last week.
He's a monster.
Neither one of you are concerned with the Tampa defense that they're going to be playing against.
I don't think the Tampa rush defense is any good anymore. They were so great for years, right? And I've been kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt, but Zeke was gashing them week 1. Clyde just ran all over their ass. Who else did they play this year? They haven't. Mark Ingram was turning out games on them. They haven't really been the same level of imposing this year.
I mean,
50 yards is not not gashing. That's
so he was yeah, but
The
he wasn't
issue is
even
they're
getting
not running a
attempts. Like,
ton.
he was still running 4 or 5 yards a carry. Like last year, he was getting like 2 yards a carry against these guys.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think a lot of those too, the gashes were essentially draw plays, but that's interesting. Let's go ahead and hop over to Jay real quick to break down the ball or the Broncos backfield real quick. Who are you taking over there? Latavius Murray, does he have any kind of appeal to you? Are you just gung ho on Boone? Is Melvin Gordon just going to run 70% of the snaps from here on out? How you feeling about the Broncos? Then we'll get into our first set of questions.
Well, here's my concern with the Broncos is, I own a good bit of Melvin Gordon. My concern there was as soon as Williams got hurt last week, Boone was the first one in. It wasn't Gordon. You know what I mean? So we were talking about this earlier. I was able to go pick up a couple of Boones, but not a ton of the Boones that I wanted to get. So Latavius Murray, I think that's more of a in case kind of thing. But
how did he look? He looked decent in New Orleans. I think that's how they say it down there.
Yeah, but I
still
think that's a precautionary in case somebody else gets hurt, because now they're down to nothing. They don't want to be that, Indy gets, Indy's not playing Taylor this week. They don't want to have him out next week and then not be able to go get, Latavius Murray because Indy went and got him, kind of thing. I think there's a precaution there. But yeah, I guess if you have either one of them, you're going to play them, just like you were playing Williams, just like you were playing Gordon, or at least I was. Oh, yeah, I suck.
So the thing was, and we talked about it on the DFS show for Roto Wonderworld, right? Jacob and I talked about it, and it was interesting because Melvin Gordon had 3 fumbles on the year. He was wildly inefficient. I said, if Melvin Gordon fumbles one more time, it's going to be the Javonte Williams show. Melvin Gordon fumbles.
Would have been.
Javonte Williams comes in, has like 3 runs. Melvin Gordon doesn't see the field, and all of a sudden, Javonte Williams ends up getting hurt. Like he was on the track to getting benched for multiple games. Now we see after the fumble, Boone came in because Melvin Gordon essentially got benched, but they didn't have any other running backs to throw in there. So eventually, he had to get snaps and he had to play.
Yeah, in just a regular league. We're not talking about Scott Fishbowl, but just in a regular league, Melvin Gordon got me a negative 1.3 last week. Thank you, buddy.
You got benched.
I think it's Melvin. Like I was bidding for Boone, but I wasn't bidding that aggressively. I understand the snaps, but I guess the way I just think about it is one of these guys has been a bell cow for a very long time. The other one is Mike Boone. Like I think
don't play Mike Boone in week 15. I think that's all something we can all agree on.
Based on the last couple of weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if Boone starts playing on a lot of the passing downs because he started doing that even in week 3. But he also wasn't good at the passing downs. Like he had 2 critical drops in these spots. So I'm not sure that Boone holds on to that. I think Melvin starts out as the lead rusher. And I'll say this. I think it's a lot more likely that Melvin crowds out Boone entirely from this backfield than that Boone has a takeover unless Melvin gets injured.
All right, let's hop on to this first question from Jamie over there. He's been hearing all summer how much better Bateman is catching the ball than Brown. But Bateman's been dropping the ball. So what can we expect from Bateman moving forward? I'm going to go to Jay on this one since Jacob got the first set of questions for the running back.
I think it's the balls that they use in Baltimore because, Marquise was dropping them, and now Bateman's dropping them.
Mark Andrews catches them.
Well, he's got bigger hands. Bigger hands. Yeah.
He's got better glue on his fingers. I don't know.
There you go.
Should Duvernay be started over top of Bateman on Scott Fishbowl?
No. You're starting Bateman.
Well, Duvernay is hurt, right? Or excuse me, Bateman's hurt, so he might not play.
Yeah, foot issue. That's what Jamie's saying. Should you even take a shot on this? Because Duvernay's been a stud so far. What's Duvernay? Top 24 wide receiver thus far in the season.
Not even close. Not even close.
Now, here's the thing.
Curious where he's sitting.
So Bateman's target share is just sitting at 19%, which you're like, oh, that's not great. Like you were definitely the second wheel on the bike, I guess, the back wheel. I guess I don't know. The front wheel is the more important wheel. That's Mark Andrews. He's the big wheel. Yards per route run though, he's 10th in the league. He just needs a little more volume. But I feel like
he needs more routes. He just needs more routes. Like his targets per route is fine. He's just not running enough routes.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, I don't see that changing though. Like I think Baltimore has their setup is Mark Andrews is our wide receiver 1, and then Bateman's our wide receiver 2, and Duvernay is going to get 12%, but somehow score, every touchdown that's thrown that's not a 75-yard bomb.
Devin Thielen.
Duvernay is actually 27, wide receiver 27 on the season.
Actually?
Yeah, he's wide receiver. I'm telling you, Duvernay's the thing this year, y'all. Like, y'all want to keep ignoring it. I mean, what's the difference between Duvernay and Jahan Dotson, really? Except for Jahan
nothing, but Jahan Dotson also isn't a thing. That's
well, now he's got hurt. All right, let's go ahead on to the next question. Who's listening to TV in the background?
Not me.
It's not me.
Not me.
It's Gator J. All right.
I don't have no music going on.
All right. Do Hollywood and Mixon for Andrews and CeeDee Lamb as part of a trade?
Do you trade Hollywood and Mixon for CeeDee Lamb and Mark Andrews?
Yeah.
Yes, immediately. What?
Why are we asking?
Is this what? Bryce, bro, come on.
Yes, do this.
Do this immediately. I don't care the format. Like, this could be half point PPR for for tight ends and full point for wide receivers. I'm still making this deal. Go.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah, I'm not as gung-ho. I do say make the trade, but I'm not as gung-ho as these guys are.
Well, then you're a dipshit. I can't help that.
Shane, you know what? You're going mute. All right, so let's go ahead and
You're in the penalty box.
12-man PPR. I have Hines, trade away Najee for – wait.
Yes, trade away Najee Harris for Jonathan Taylor, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Shane, you can go ahead and comment dipshit if you want.
I do approve of that trade. Please make that trade. Are you stupid? I don't think you are. I mean, not based on this trade. There might have been other life decisions that you made. But based on this trade, no.
I think the main issue with him is Oyen is like in between a couple of different names, but it isn't really a name in and of itself.
All right. Let's see. I was taking. No, I don't know.
Just past Owen.
Huh? Sorry, I'm looking for questions. All right, I saw a question.
But I just want to say this: if you would give me rights to stuff again, I could highlight some of these questions and even show some of them. I think.
Would you guys trade? This is Bambo. Would you guys trade Connor and Lockett for James Robinson and Adam Thielen? I would not trade Connor and Lockett for James Robinson and Adam Thielen.
No.
Absolutely not.
Thielen's been very game script dependent. I mean, when we
Lockett and Thielen are similar to me. They're both old guys who are producing on
Lockett's
occasion.
Like 29 or 28.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah,
But I would much rather have Connor than James Robinson. I mean, Connor, it hasn't come together yet. It's like kind of hilarious that Connor's the guy who I'm saying needs positive touchdown regression after his entire career. But he's going to get positive touchdown regression. He's playing a much better role. He's running a ton of routes. He's getting a ton of snaps. J-Rob is the early down guy, but he had less snaps than ETN last week when they lost a game, and that he's not in nearly as strong of a role as Connor.
Thielen's been mainly like matchup dependent, essentially. Like Justin Jefferson has had some really tough matchups, a lot of bracketed coverage, a lot of double coverages. I mean, we're seeing Thielen open because he's facing the second or third corner on the team, which he can beat pretty easily. But like that's not going to be a thing moving forward. Justin Jefferson's matchups get significantly easier. I'd rather stick with Lockett and Connor over J-Rob for me. All right. Do you have a different take, Jay, or?
No, I was actually leaning the J-Rob Thielen side, but I think you guys just talked me into Connor Lockett. So, yeah, I'm staying Connor Lockett. That's what I've got.
All right, let's go ahead and hop on to our next segment. Then we do have more questions lined up. We will get over to those, of course. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the storylines for this upcoming week. Well, let's talk about the storylines for, quarter way through the season. We have Kenny Pickett, who just took over the starting role, just was announced today. Is Kenny Pickett a must-start moving forward? Or I should say, is he a start at any point moving forward? Is somebody that you want to grab off waivers if you're in single quarterback leagues?
Yeah.
In 2 quarterback leagues, are you rolling him out this week?
Maybe.
All right, go ahead and talk to us, Jacob. What do you mean by maybe?
I answered all your questions already. I said in single quarterback leagues, no. In 2 quarterback leagues, yes. Do you want to add him? And then you said, are you starting this week? I said maybe, because it depends on who else you have. I mean, it's his first start. It goes against Buffalo. Now they're a little beat up, but they've still been pretty effective. I mean, they've been beat up the last 2 weeks. Tua and Lamar haven't done anything. So I don't know. I think that you're not looking to start him this week. The way that you start him is if you don't have other quarterbacks. But I think you should definitely pick him up because he's going to start the rest of the year and he has weapons. And he runs like a little bit. So I don't know.
Him and George Pickens had that connection, man. They had the connection. Shane, where are you sitting on with Pickett? Is he top 15 quarterback moving forward? Is he top 20? Where do you see him finishing?
Yeah, I mean, because top 15, top 20 is a bunch of I don't want to keep using the same words. I won't say trash cans, but I'll just call them dumpster fires. It's not really that difficult to break into that tier. And like Jacob mentioned, he does have a little bit of rushing ability. Hence, he ran for 36 touchdowns last week, something like that, right? Or was it 2? I don't remember what it was. He had a lot of touchdowns running. And he's got a little more YOLO in him. I forget who tweeted it out earlier, but there was like a literal, what do you call that? On top of each other, it was like Mitch Trubisky or was Kenny Pickett running a play and Mitch Trubisky running the same play, and Mitch Trubisky just getting swallowed whole by the defense, where Pickett just stood in there like a fucking man, took the hit, and hit Patty Freiermuth for a 15-yard gain or whatever. So, I like his upside the rest of the year. The next couple weeks are going to be kind of brutal, kind of rough, but I still like his upside.
All right, let's go ahead and hop on to Geno Smith. Is he a must start in fantasy every week moving forward, or most weeks, I should say? Like, is there any week where you would bench Geno Smith, knowing what you know right now, having the sample size that you know right now? Is this something where you want to go acquire him? Are you starting him every week? Is he worth, making a move for? Jacob?
This is the Josh Jacobs question?
No, I'm talking about Geno Smith. No, you're good.
Geno Smith. Sorry. Geno Smith. I'm not acquiring him. Acquiring him for what? I don't know. But he's like I saw a stat. I'm hoping I'm not talking on my ass here. So this is very much like I just saw this scrolling on Twitter, and maybe I was wrong, but I think he's leading the NFL in like percentage of designed rush attempts on dropbacks or something crazy like that. Wow. So he's getting a lot of designed rush attempts. If he's not leading, he's close. That's pretty crazy. He's running a little bit. He's throwing effectively. He has weapons. He's probably a starter every week in Superflex leagues, which is like a strange reality that we live in. I don't really want to live in this reality, but it's the reality we live in.
Yeah, so Geno is quarterback 10 right now.
Wow. That's
crazy, right?
Oh, my God.
So
he's the most accurate quarterback in the NFL as well, if I remember correctly.
Week 1, 195.
Life.
Just passing, no rushing, 195. Week 2, 197. Week 3, 325. Week 4, 320. For a total of 6 touchdowns, 2 picks. Dude, he's on pace for 4,000 yards passing, roughly 24, 25 touchdowns, 7, 8 picks. If I told you at the beginning,
he's on pace for 34 touchdowns.
Right. If I told you could get that as your Superflex position, you'd be snacking that
He's
up.
Basically like Derek Carr.
Yeah,
with a little bit of rushing upside.
77.3% completion percentage.
Yeah, and look, he's got 2 freaking studs out there, to be quite honest. I mean, with
Will Dissly.
And now he's got
a guy you said you didn't want to start DFS.
Still don't.
All right, Shane. All right, do you want to answer this one, or you want to move on to the next question that I have for you?
I'm not going to beat. There's 5 of us. We don't need to all say the same shit.
All right. Allen Robinson or Amari Cooper moving forward?
Amari Cooper.
Any roster spot over Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson is completely and totally like, I don't know if he's washed, if he completely just gave up on football. He doesn't like football. He likes getting paid. I will say that. Good for him. He got paid.
Since you don't like using the same terms, Robinson, his name is Ghost. He's just a ghost on the field. That's all he is.
Yep.
I remember being a little scared when we did our bust of the year call, and I was like, oh, this could be silly, but looks pretty good.
And it's sad. It's sad because he's 92 to 99 snap share on the field. And he's just
he's out there. Yeah, he's getting his cardio in.
It's wind sprints, baby.
You know what's funny about this whole thing is like I send Jacob every week that I win money. I send him my picks that I make money or I get really close. Like this past week I ended up placing only 3 bets. If I would have hit on Javonte Williams, it would have been $600 that I would have ended up netting, $540 that I would have ended up profiting. Javonte Williams got hurt. I think I lost 10 overall, but it only pays 3 $20 bets. And it's so nuts because I've been able to turn profits every single week by taking the under on Allen Robinson because it's over. Everybody keeps on betting it's over. So like I'm taking his under every single week, and he's one of my bets that has hit every single week since week 1. 4 weeks in a row that I have hit by taking the under on Allen Robinson.
Are they still listing Mr. Robinson?
They are still listing them, and that's why you need to go to Underdog, right? You need to go to Underdog. You need to sign up for an account, okay? You need to enter in promo code CIRCLE, right? When you enter in promo code CIRCLE, that'll actually match your deposit bonus, right? So if you deposit $100, you'll get an extra $100, and you can take that $200 and you can follow us on Twitter, and you can look at my prop bets, and you can actually make money too by placing $20 bets. You can make $600. Just go follow me on Twitter at @FF_intervention and go make a deposit on Underdog. Use promo code CIRCLE so they'll match your deposit. You'll have $200 or $100 extra to play with. If you want to listen to me for a few weeks, if I don't end up making you money, then screw it, you can do your own thing. But I will end up making you money. So go check out Underdog over there. Of course, in the app section, go download Underdog, go deposit some money, use promo code CIRCLE. All right, so let's go ahead and hop over to Shane. I'm going to give you another question since that one was a little bit of an easy one. Kyle Pitts, is he still playing football?
No, he was, as Dwayne McFarland noted today, he was not at practice as they were simulating the game. Because he was a no-show at practice. I think he's protesting personally, and I like it, and I'm here for it, and I hope that he doesn't return until he negotiates at least 10 targets a week. What can I tell you? I mean, this is why we hate NFL coaches, right? And this is why we think as a populace that we're smarter than NFL coaches, because we go, if I had a Kyle Pitts on my team, you know what I would do? I'd throw him the ball a lot, like 10, 15 times a game. And Arthur Smith goes, you know what we're going to do? We're going to roll out this kid named Preston Hess. Is that his name?
Parker Hess.
Parker Hess. It doesn't matter. Some generic white kid name. We're just going to throw him out there. Some Madden creative player, just sending him out there. And
that does sound like a Madden created player. I'm not going to lie. That sounds like it came straight off of Madden created player.
I have no faith in Arthur Smith. He's clearly an idiot. So I look, Pitts is sitting on my bench. You can't drop him, but he's just going to sit on my bench until I can see 2 weeks of production out of him, because we got all hot and bothered and got the vapors 2 weeks ago when he had one good week.
All right, Jacob, what rookie wide receiver is this year's league winner? Is it Dobbs, Pickens, Olave, Wilson, Dotson? Like we saw Jamar Chase break out. We kind of expected that to happen. Maybe you might have said, oh, Waddle could do it. But, I mean, this year seems pretty tight. So, I mean, Jahan Dotson can miss some time. We saw Pickens start out kind of slow. Olave's been on fire, but now Andy Dalton might throw some kinks in the mix. Like, what are we talking about over here? Who is the rookie of the year for wide receivers?
Hey, real quick, can I just I'm sorry. I just wanted to cut you off. I see my co-host Scott Connor.
Scott's in the chat.
Yeah, I see the tight end share. Yeah, the market share is fine. I'm talking about raw volume though, because his market share is elite. It is great, and so is Drake London's 40% market share. It's
this the is where volume I'm at with Pitts. Like Scott's a dynasty guy, right? So I've been the whole thread about Pitts and dynasty. Like I'm not the slightest bit worried about Pitts in dynasty. Like he's crushing in targets per route run. He's crushing in weighted targets per run, which is that with air yards. He's earning targets out there. He's not running as many routes as you'd hope, that even on reduced routes, like Scott said, he's 5th in market share. He's going to be fine. It's just a matter of whether he's going to be fine the rest of the year. I'm not entirely sure. In terms of who the league winner is, I think there's like a lot of candidates. Like it's been a really impressive rookie class. I think at least like Olave, London, Wilson, Dobbs are all drastically outperforming their draft position. I mean, I'll say in terms of league winner, I don't know. I'll just put my fucking chip down for my dude, even though it's probably the wrong answer. But give me Romeo Dobbs, man. I mean, that's my guy. And in terms of the ceiling, like I think that Wilson and London and Olave are all better players for sure, and they'll be better dynasty assets for a long time. But in terms of this year, all those dudes got total jabronis at quarterback, except for maybe Garrett Wilson. Zach Wilson takes a step forward. Dobbs has freaking Aaron Rodgers, and he's got 22.5% targets per route run his first 4 weeks. He's run 94 and 95% of the routes the last 2 weeks. And he's competing with guys that are either pretty bad or okay, or we have no idea. And if he's just going to keep running all the routes with Rodgers and he's actually good, That's the guy that honestly I think might have the highest upside the rest of the year if he's good, and he looks the part so far. So give me Dobbs.
All right. Last question before we go to Shane for this one. Or last question, and then we'll go to Shane. Second to last question, then we'll go to Shane. Jay, is there a tight end that you want to set and forget? Because you definitely put this in the show sheet. You wanted to make a point on this.
Yeah, I put it in. I was thinking I was going to let Shane answer this question just for the simple fact of, because the tight ends, I mean, you look at the top 3 tight ends right now, and with Kittle, I mean, throwing up 5-6 points the last 2 weeks. Mark Andrews, okay, bad week last week. I think he's probably the only one you're setting and forgetting right now. We all said that.
Kelsey.
That's Kelsey. I mean, well,
Kelsey and Andrews.
He's kind of cheating with that robo quarterback that he's got back there. But
what about Conklin? You don't want to set and forget Conklin?
You want to set?
I want to forget Conklin.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's but 2 of them that you're going to set and forget. I think
Tyler
really been struggling between the injuries at running back and then turning around and you got the tight ends that are just not producing what we thought or what we want them to produce or what we need them to produce.
No, I'll tell you. I was going to say I just wanted to jump on Jake's point there, like he was joking. But yeah, and I hate Tyler Higbee for multiple reasons. One, he's a racist piece of shit.
Yeah,
Jacob,
we can just call him the hate crime.
And the rest in fantasy football, the rest of his career, he's just been one fluke 4-week stretch and nothing but empty volume. Like everyone would tell me, dude, he's running a ton of routes, and I'm like, yeah, but he's not doing anything with them. And then it'd be like, oh, well, he's getting targets, and I'm like, yeah, but he's not doing anything with them either. So this year, he's actually converting targets into points. So he's a guy.
He's getting so many of them.
I would have
to. It takes a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a. Let me see here. 32. Oh, that's his route run. That's not.
He's taking all the targets from Allen Robinson. What do you expect?
Well, I mean, the difference is he's going on the field and trying, whereas Allen Robinson is going on the field and I don't know, playing video poker or something. So Tyler Higbee's a guy I'm fine just sticking in there, and I'm good with sticking him in there.
Tight end one over the past 2 weeks. TJ Hawkinson by 8 points. I'm just saying.
Ironically,
he had 50 points in 1 week.
Yeah,
40 points in 1 week.
I'll leave most of it on one play. No, I think all that this is maybe a dynasty take. I know it's not a dynasty show, but when I was going through and doing the write-up today, I got through the Raiders game and then I got through the Niners game, and Kittle and Waller have been so depressing that it just makes me want to trade for Kyle Pitts in dynasty even more, because the tight end position really is trash that I'm just so okay waiting patiently for Pitts to eventually figure it out, because there's just no other options outside of Kelsey and Andrews.
You know who I'm okay setting and forgetting if I didn't draft a guy early is Zach Ertz. I'm cool with
for
that.
Now. I think when Hop comes back, that's different, but for now at least.
Okay. That's interesting. All right. So Shane, last question before we hop on to our questions we have to answer from the viewers. Shane, there's a report out that Tom Brady got a divorce lawyer. Are you interested in either Tom Brady or Giselle? Is this something as to where you might find your future spouse over here? We know you're in the dating scene. We know you've been active on Tinder.
So I'm gonna try not to be vulgar, right? But Tom Brady is a MAGA, right? So there's 100% chance that he does not ever go down on Giselle, because you can't make a baby that way. So I think I could find a way to give Giselle something that she hasn't had in the last 14 years. I don't know how long she's been with Tom Brady.
What if she said you had to stop playing fantasy football? Would you retire and then unretire, or would you just stay retired the whole time?
No, I would retire until she came to her senses and then left me. After she realized this is a terrible rebound fuck, what am I doing here? Wow, Jesus.
I'm interested in handling their divorce. I mean, I think I could make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah.
I'm after the legal billable hours. I don't care about either of them.
I threw that in there as a complete joke. I did not realize Shane was going to actually go with off the rails there. That was awesome. Great job.
You just assume that I am. No, we got some.
I think Giselle should marry Amari Cooper, since she'll be able to get whatever she wants on the side. She'll be able to fuck Donovan Peoples-Jones too, in front of him.
Oh, getting cuffed.
Just got a callback for our new listeners.
What a callback, Jacob. What a fucking callback. All right. Curtis Samuels, Devonta Smith, Romeo Doubs, pick 2 for PPR. This is a little bit early in the week. Just to give you all a heads up. You're looking for starter sit questions. We typically do these at 11:30 on Fantasy Football Discussion on Facebook. Go check out that group. And, of course, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/fantasy intervention. Go hit subscribe if y'all are watching or if you take any kind of value from this. If you don't even take value from this, go ahead and subscribe anyways and tune into our next show, 11:30 on Sunday mornings. But yes, pick 2, Curtis Samuels, Devonta Smith, Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs for me is a lock. I'll let somebody else pick the next guy.
Don't let Shane go because he'll pick Devonta Smith, and he talked me into basically starting Devonta Smith, and then he goes and throws up zeros. Thanks, Shane, by the way.
Well, that's what Smith does. Sometimes he gets 30, sometimes he gets 0.
He's a wide receiver 3, bro. I mean, that's what they do. I'm going to take, as long as Curtis Samuels is healthy, healthy enough to play, I'm going with Curtis Samuels. He's the league and target getter on that Washington team. He gets a little rushing work, except for last week. And look, how can you pass up Romeo Doubs at this point? Like, dude he's the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay. So I'll run him out there until the juice doesn't squeeze anymore.
Yeah, I think honestly, I'm just going to roll out Devonta Smith and Curtis Samuel. I'm going to let Doubs, not get passes in the end zone for however long he wants to do that.
I'm going to roll with Doubs in with Curtis Samuel. Although Smith, it depends. If you need a ceiling, I think Smith's the best player of the 3. But we've seen with the Eagles, it's A.J. Brown's going to get his every week. And then usually one of Smith and Goddard are going to get theirs. But which one it's going to be, I don't know.
What noise do we make for the trade alerts that came in last year?
Trade alert?
I thought it was a bing. All right.
Was it a bing? We can do a bing.
That was literally words. Trade
alert. I think it was just Shane going, trade alert.
Yeah, it was literally all it was.
All right, Dynasty Superflex PPR, tight end premium, 12 team. Would you trade Josh Jacobs away right now?
Yeah.
For mid-late
Yes.
first?
Yeah.
Go hit accept now, John.
Yeah. If you can't sustain the year, if you're end up going to fall apart, go ahead.
The correct answer is no matter what. If you're contending, pretending, rebuilding,
I wouldn't take a late. I would take a mid. I wouldn't take a late if I'm contending. If I'm contending, I'll take Josh Jacobs.
So the key here to me is this is Dynasty, and this is exactly what you were waiting on for Josh Jacobs. He's getting the volume, he's getting the reps. This is what you were waiting on because at the beginning of the year, we were all like, oh, my God, Josh Jacobs is down. And now he's up without his contract, everything else. This is exactly what you were waiting on to trade Josh Jacobs for this. So go get him.
Not if I'm contending. If I'm contending, I'll keep taking the points and consistency because he ain't going nowhere.
And that's how you end up with a roster.
I think Jacobs is gonna have a great year. I think he's gonna be a top 12 running back rest of the season. I'm taking the 23 first. I'll take a mid to late 23. One. Yeah, give me a late 23 first over any active running back in the NFL other than CMC, Saquon, Swift, Brees, Taylor.
Eckler?
Yeah, give me the 23 first.
No.
We got to pick players. We got 17 minutes, guys.
I have Goddard and Joe.
Thanks, Dad.
And considering trading Goddard for Pitts for the upside, Pitts owner won't sell lower than that. So
I would. You have Njoku anyway.
All right.
Well, I don't have to be the definitive. Somebody else disagree with me. Go ahead.
No, I think that's accurate. All right. Bench players include Edmonds, Rashad White, Kenneth Walker. Wait, where's the question? Which 5 do you
should I pick up Pacheco? Should I pick Pacheco over? I think it's phrased weird, but I think the real question is I want to pick up Pacheco, and who should I drop? That is how I'm reading this question.
Yeah, if he should drop.
Or should I leave Pacheco?
Yeah. So how do you which 5 do you prefer out of the 6 players? Edmonds, Rashad White, Kenneth Walker, Zay Jones, Tony.
Let's just pick the one we don't prefer, not the 5 we do prefer. Right. I think that's the easier.
I don't prefer Pacheco. I would rather leave him out.
I'll leave the wide receiver Tony on the waivers, and I'll definitely pick up Pacheco because he's a running back that's one injury away from having a backfield to himself.
Depends on what your team is, ball is life. If Zay Jones is a guy that you think is going to be starting for you, then I guess keep him. But otherwise, I just feel like there's kind of a lot of Zay Joneses in the world floating amidst the waiver wire. That's probably the one that I wouldn't place a lot of value on. But if you need him, he's fine.
All right, let's go ahead and hop on to our final segment where we pick players outside the top.
Can I go first?
15. It depends on who you take, Shane. Outside the top 50 or the top 20 to 50.
Yeah, he didn't put any of his people
inside the top 10. He never does. He just steals ours.
False.
They're in there.
There's names in there.
All right, Shane, you can take your. Wait, you deleted mine.
No,
you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
For quarterback, I'm going to go ahead and take Milf Smasher versus Miami. Miami's giving up the second most points per game to a quarterback. I know he did not have a great game as a quarterback last week, though he had an excellent game as a receiver.
Best hands in New York.
Thankfully for that, he got me 7 points in the SFB only because of his receiving touchdown. I also think this is going to be a shootout. I think Miami and the Jets are going to put up like 50 points. Is that a shootout? 55 points. And there's just going to be a ton of points. And I think my dude is going to smash this week.
What's
funny
is there's some notes that I wrote down about one of my guys, and it's another shootout.
Who you got, Gator J?
Well, I took probably quarterback 1 this week. I'm going to Carson Wentz. I took Carson Wentz versus Tennessee. I mean, week 1, they gave up to Daniel Jones 2 touchdowns. And it's Daniel Jones, nothing major. Josh Allen in week 2, they gave up 317 yards, 4 TDs. In week 3, they gave Derek Carr 303 yards, 2 TDs. And then last week, the almighty Matt Ryan, 356 yards. This defense is horrid. So give me Carson Wentz throwing. Okay, Jahan Dotson's not playing, but give me, throwing to McLaurin, throwing to Logan Thomas. Absolutely, yeah, Wentz QB1 on the week. I'm not calling that out loud. I'm really not doing that.
Jacob, I see you change yours to the 15th overall quarterback. By the way,
he's ranked 15th.
Yes, he's ranked 15th.
Actually,
I was taking him a long time ago.
Is that how depressing this quarterback week is? Is that guy's ranked 15th?
Him. He switched he was 14th and Kirk Cousins was 15th. He switched by the time, but he was 14th.
Oh, yeah, well, the guy I was going to try and switch to because I didn't think it was conscionable that he would be ranked in the top 15 was Teddy Bridgewater. But apparently that's how sad reality is that Teddy Bridgewater in a week with no buys is ranked as a top 15 quarterback. That's depressing. Well, I'll go back to my other pick then, and I'll take the other side of Jay's game because I agree with you. The Tennessee defense sucks. You know who else's defense sucks? The Washington Commanders' defense sucks. So I'm going to take Brian Tannehill. He's down Treylon Burks this week, but he's still got his boy Bobby Trees. Kyle Phillips is back healthy. Hopefully he'll get more involved. And my guy Chikosium Okonkwo is finally getting into the mix. 3 catches, a touchdown on, I believe, 5 routes this week. It's a Okonkwo season.
Oh, God. Yes, I do.
I'm going to talk him up in DFS this week, Chase. Just you watch.
I love him. I'm on board with him. I think he's a fucking monster when it comes to athleticism. But I don't want to touch that game because I thought about both Ryan Tannehill and Carson Wentz, but I think this game is going to be like 20 points total. I can't get on board with that. I ended up going a little bit of a different route, and I took Justin Fields, who I cannot stand up against Minnesota. Minnesota's been struggling up against rushing quarterbacks. I don't like Justin Fields, but like we said, this week is abysmal. There's a lot of tough matchups up against really bad quarterbacks that are outside the top 15. Meanwhile, all these top end guys, they have great matchups. So we don't see any kind of imbalance like between, shitty quarterback with a great matchup. I'm going Justin Fields. I'm going to hope that he rushes 20 times this game. It's bad. It's bad, dude. I don't like it. It's Minnesota. I'm taking that route. Let's go ahead and hop on. God damn it, Jacob.
Justin Fields, by the way, this last week had 35 dropbacks. Do you want to guess how many of those resulted in a throw targeted at someone?
7.
19, actually. 19. So slightly over half. Every time he drops back, it's about a 50-50 call if it's going to be thrown at someone. Not completed, just a target.
It is bad. It is so bad. All right, let's hop on a running back. Jason, go ahead and take my guy, my dude that I cannot wait to talk about, and then you ended up stealing him in the first week that we get to talk about him. Go ahead.
Yep. Welcome back, J.K. Dobbins. Welcome back. Stud last week. We'll see what he's going to do this week. But, they're going up against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's played some damn good running backs this year with Najee, Zeke, Breece Hall, and Carter, Edmonds, and Mostert last week. They've given up a lot on the ground. We'll see what they'll do this week. Chase, I'm doing this just for you. I want you to do your spiel on your J.K. Dobbins because I know you wanted him really bad. And I wrote the show sheet, so I got the stealing for you.
No. I'm not going to take that from you. I mean, honestly, with J.K. Dobbins, like they lost DJ Reader, so that's a big part to it. But I mean, J.K. Dobbins is going to be a beast. Last year, he saw advantageous game script, turnovers. So, of course, he put up points. I still see him doing that on a regular basis in a competitive game. The Bills are tough. So let's go ahead and hop on to Jacob. So do you have it running back?
I got the most disrespected workhorse in fantasy football, over 80% of the snaps, 2 consecutive weeks. He gets an atrocious team, just an embarrassing team, and a team that lost the Jets at home last week. Give me Kraft singles, baby. We're putting the Kraft singles all over this. I made him my top over pick last night on Underdog. I made him my start of the week on last night's show. He's my start of the week this show. I'm going to be playing him all over DFS. Well, I don't know. He might be too owned, to be honest. I haven't even looked. But I'm all in on Devin Singletary and managed. I'm trying to acquire some of him in Dynasty too. And every time that I think that there's a Bills running back that I can trust, there quickly isn't. But I'm taking Shane's favorite player in the NFL this week, Devin Singletary.
That is definitely Shane's favorite player. Shane, who's your favorite player this week? I love
Devin Singletary.
Well, here's the thing, right? I did love Devin Singletary. I kept saying last year that he's a good running back. I kept saying it. And then, the Bills go out and they're like, we're going to sign J.D. McKissick. And I'm like, I'm out. And they're like, all right, well, that didn't happen. But we're going to draft James Cook in the second round. And I'm like, all right, I'm out on Devin Singletary. Just because I like him doesn't mean the Bills like him. So the Bills do all that. And then you know what they do? They go, Devin Singletary, guess what? We really like you.
Until they start passing the ball to Zach Moss in week 2.
Well, and
then they stopped.
Yeah, then they stopped
that nonsense.
Singletary's dominating opportunity share there. But anywho, I was going to steal.
Singletary is the Jacoby Myers of running backs. Like he's just this guy that is clearly good.
Great.
His team hates, and they keep trying to bring in guys to replace him. And then every year he's like, "No, fuck off! I'm still the guy."
Yeah, James Crowder. He's the slot receiver. Like he's the average slot receiver for his team.
Crazy. This is why we hate NFL coaches, right? Because they do things like this. They do everything in their power to tell you they don't like this running back, and then immediately, not even like a year later. Like immediately, the same this offseason, they tried to replace him, and now they're like, no, he gets all the work. Whatever. Anywho, I'm going to go with we're doing running backs, right? I was going to steal Singletary, but you didn't let me, so I'm just going to go with Nahim Hines.
Well, I love that one.
Is he out? Is he outside the top 15 or did he?
Yeah, he's 30.
They probably didn't get the news yet.
Well, it's ESPN. I think they're pretty up to date on that type of stuff. I am just guessing.
I meant the rankers.
Oh, okay.
We have people sitting at 41 and 43. Cockcroft and Dopp put him at 40 and 43.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm going with Hines. Obvious reasons. There's no Jonathan Taylor, so I expect to see a few more passes his way. I don't expect to see any increase in rushing volume, but just a few more targets is all we need because one target's worth 347 points in fantasy or something like that, more than a rushing attempt. And yeah, could you block the adult dating site?
I'm not.
That's my fault because you know what's coming up. Cat 69. That's my fault. I apologize.
Yep, you started telling what you were going to do to Giselle, and it's like
you guys can see it over there, YouTube. YouTube.com/fantasy intervention. All right, let's go ahead and hop on to Jay's. Who do you have, man?
We already went over J.K. Dobbins. It's your turn there, buddy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm taking Dillon up against the Giants. The Giants' rushing game has gotten gashed left and right. It's time for A.J. Dillon to have one of his signature rushing and receiving games. Giants have been terrible up against pass catching running backs on the outside. They've been okay up against the inside, but they've been terrible on the outside. I'm going to go ahead and take A.J. Dillon. All right, let's hop on to Jacob's wide receivers. Who do you got, Jacob?
I have got a wide receiver playing against my favorite team. Although I'm considering filing for divorce. I'll ask Tom Brady if his lawyer is available so that I can divorce the Colts.
You don't have no one? You don't know what
lawyer? I don't happen to know a divorce lawyer. Not in America. I don't have one that's passed the Indiana bar. That's for sure. But if anybody knows a lawyer who's certified in family law in Indiana, let me know. But no, I'm taking Jerry Judy. Kenny Moore got paid, and then he stopped covering anybody. He has been burnt toast all season outside the top 100 in PFF coverage grade. He's been covering the slot. Jerry Judy has been living in the slot for a lot of this year. I expect him to have a phenomenal game in this one. 12 targets versus 14 targets, him versus Sutton when they're in there. He also had a catch called back by penalty last week. I think he is the Bronco wide receiver who will have the top game this week based on that matchup.
All right, Shane, what you got?
What are we doing? Wide receiver?
Yeah, we're doing wide receiver.
All right, I'm just gonna look. I'm just stupid, so I'm just gonna keep going back to the well. Drake London, for some reason, is ranked outside the top 20 at 21 actually, and the dude's got a 40% target share. Like, and I know, like, look, 40% of 19 isn't a lot, but it should be enough that if he scores a touchdown and doesn't face mask a dude this week, that it'll be enough to get him into the top 12.
All right, I'm going to take Olave versus Seattle. Olave should have had a breakout week last week. Andy Dalton obviously hindered that. Plus, they saw some double coverage downfield. Not a ton of it, but enough to prohibit from seeing 13 targets again. Olave is on track to break out. Whether Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton plays this week doesn't really matter to me. I think that Chris Olave still has a chance to finish inside the top 10. I think we finished, wide receiver 17 last week. So this week he finishes even better. All right, Jay.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon that Shane was talking about earlier with the Jets here up against that Miami D, and I'm gonna take Garrett Wilson. It's crazy that the three of us, Shane, Chase, and myself, all took rookie wide receivers here, but what Shane said earlier. I mean, Miami's given up on the average 403 yards in the air per game. Like they're second in air yards given up. They're fourth or fifth in points given up to a wide receiver. So, yeah, give me Garrett Wilson hooking up with his old buddy right there, the MILF Hunter himself. So, yeah, let's go.
The MILF Smasher.
MILF Smasher. I'm sorry, Shane.
Jacob, what you got for tight end?
I wish I could just pass because the tight end position is a graveyard of depression. But since that wasn't an option, I'll take Jawan Johnson. Jawan Johnson has been the lead route runner for the New Orleans Saints. Looks like Michael Thomas is likely to miss another week. Seattle Seahawks have been bad against tight ends since the dawn of time, and they just got eviscerated by TJ Hawkinson. I'll take Jawan Johnson. He's probably going to catch like 2 passes for 10 yards.
I was tempted to take Adam Troutman, but
that's also fine. Or Taysom Hill, really any of them.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and top on to Logan Thomas. We've seen him perform at high levels before, but he's had somewhat of a difficult matchup over the past couple of weeks. This week up against Tennessee, they're not bad on the outside, but their safeties struggle, their linebackers struggle. They typically allow the tight end to seep into the flats and seep into the seams, allowing 3 plays for the tight end. All you need from a tight end to perform is to hit a touchdown for 30 yards receiving and get yourself a tight end 1. Logan Thomas absolutely has the potential to do it this week, especially if Jahan Dotson, which I believe he's already ruled out or very close to it, misses time. So, I mean, we're talking about now him having the option to do a shovel pass to Curtis Samuel, to Terry McLaurin on a fly, or to have Logan Thomas up the seam, since Scott Turner doesn't change up the play calling whatsoever. I think Logan Thomas has the best chance of succeeding in his set role. I'm going Logan Thomas.
Oh, shit. I wasn't paying attention, so I was definitely going to go Logan Thomas. I don't care because, it's a tight end. I'm not putting a lot of thought into this. I'm going to go to Dawson Knox because Gabe Davis is running on 1 foot. Isaiah McKenzie has a concussion. And I feel like Jamison Crowder snapped his foot, right? I think he broke his foot or his ankle, so he's done for the year. So, I mean, we could be looking at a situation where it's Dawson Knox and Steph Diggs and, again, Gabe Davis, who's really not healthy, which is the only reason I got to tell you that I haven't been calling out the Gabe Davis truthers on Twitter, but it's coming, by the way, guys. 12% target share. Anyway,
hey, you practiced in full this week, so
he'll get a 13% target share?
20% minimum. Lock it in.
Lock it in. All right, let's go ahead and let everybody know where to find you, and then we'll finish off these questions after we get some of these people out that
I don't get to talk about Evan Ingram.
Oh shit, my bad, Jay.
Nobody wants to hear you talk about Evan Ingram.
I don't want to hear myself talk about Avery Williams, but he's due for a touchdown this week. Since y'all have all taken him, this is the week he's going to produce.
Of course,
put me back in the lead again.
Yeah, he recently actually signed up for the Allen Robinson Cardio Club. You can use promo code EE at checkout.
You stop. Now.
Is this headed by Jalen Guyton?
Yeah.
Lynn Bowden.
It's Allen Davis.
Lynn Bowden never got to play enough to join the cardio club.
Jalen Guyton never earned enough targets or enough routes, so his name never got out there. So he used Allen Robinson's name, but it's really headed by Jalen Guyton. All right, Jake, where can we find you, man? I know you got to get out of here for school.
You can find me on Twitter, FF_RTDB. You can find me in the Full Tilt Discord. You can find me in the Bulletproof Discord. You can find my weekly article, The Hitchhiker's Guide to Running Back, where we had a shit ton of stuff to talk about this week. So that was really awesome. Then you can find me, of course, on Fridays for the Big Tilt with Chase. And then exciting news, the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, which I do every Tuesday with Tom and with Billy. We joined the Fantasy Points Media Group this week, so you can check us out alongside all the other great members of the Fantasy Points Media Group. And right now, you can find me in the Law of Ethics and Professionalism.
All right, Jacob, we'll see you later. Shane, where can we find you?
I am at Shane is the Worst on Twitter, Dynasty Trades in 5 on the YouTubes. And if you are not doing anything in 29 minutes, come check us out. It's our 1-year anniversary, and we've got Ray GQ coming on to do a 2023 rookie mock draft. I believe we're doing 2 rounds. So come check us out. And if you can't, we have a YouTube channel. You can always check out the streams. Also, obviously, here every Wednesday. And DLF, haven't written for them in like a month and a half, but that's okay. I'm still there. And Fantasy Data just dropped another article like I do every Wednesday.
Don't leave. We still have questions to answer, of course, now that the 2 stars of the show are gone.
I got to go.
Love you.
Bye.
I'll see you later.
Love you all.
Jay, where can we find you, man, just so we can get everybody in before we start having people bail? Where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me Fantasy J77 over there on the Twitter box. You can find me here on Wednesday nights, 8:00. And then you can find me tomorrow night and every Thursday at 7 p.m. for the kickoff show over on Dynasty Gambit, part of the Going for 2 network.
And you guys can go check out all my content over there at FF_Intervention on Twitter. All right, let's hop on to this part. We have all in one show, Zeke for Breece Hall. Absolutely 100% Breece Hall is on the track to break out. I've been trying to trade for Breece Hall everywhere over the past probably week now. I've gotten some shares of them, not as much as I want in terms for redraft leagues, of course. Do you have a different take for that?
I think those 2 are doing the exact opposite path. Breece Hall is on the up, and then sorry about that. Breece Hall's on the up, and Zeke's on the down.
All right, evening, gents. A few questions for y'all. AJ Dillon and Pitts were dropped in my 10-man full PPR, and I have first waiver. Who do I snag? Tight end is Ertz, RBs and CMC, Fournette, Kareem Hunt, Akers, and ETN. It seems like you're pretty loaded at both positions, in my opinion. I would probably make a play for Pitts over AJ Dillon, although I like AJ Dillon more than I like Pitts. Ertz is always at risk of injury with him aging and Hopkins coming back. I'd much rather have Pitts to back up Ertz, although I normally don't vouch for rostering 2 tight ends. Pitts is a top 3-4 tight end in this year's draft and still has the opportunity to hit that level. We'll see what happens with the dramatic situation over there for Atlanta, but I'd probably still put Pitts over AJ Dillon. Do you have a different take on that?
No, you asked me 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe I probably taken AJ Dillon because of what we thought the Green Bay offense was going to be. And of course, it's not. AJ Dillon's not as involved as I think we thought he was going to be.
All right. Should they go with Russell Wilson or roll out Cousins? I'd probably go Russell Wilson. Without Javonte Williams, I know Javonte Williams actually played a factor in the receiving game. They might try to open up the offense a little bit more. Russell Wilson feels like he's a little more rambunctious, I guess, in the past week or so after the conversations he's been having with the media. I'll take a chance on Russell Wilson, although I don't hate Cousins. I don't think you can really go wrong with either one this week. I think they both finished inside the top 15 to top 12.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay with Cousins. I mean, Russ has got to prove it in that offense for me. Cousins has done it year in and year out every week, so I'm gonna stay with Cousins until Russ proves that he can. I mean, we know he's got his number 1 in Sutton, but he's got to have more than just one wide receiver, and I don't think he's ready to do that yet.
All right, we have half PPR flex help. Juju, Etienne, or DJ Moore. In half-point PPR, I'm cutting out Juju. I like Juju, but not half-point PPR. He has to be in full PPR for it to make sense. We want Etienne, just like Gator J was just saying. Like, I need to see proof from it. DJ Moore, however, I know that Baker Mayfield's been terrible, but DJ Moore just has that talent, has that upside. I'm going to give him one more week. Last week he did okay enough in order to warrant another start, so I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, and I think I'd be Etienne, DJ Moore, Juju, if in that order, just for the simple fact that I think Etienne's starting, like we were talking about earlier, I think Etienne is starting to get more and more into the workload and cutting into it. So I think I would go Etienne first, then DJ Moore for sure, because I think what DJ Moore said last week about Baker Mayfield made Baker Mayfield go, "Oh, you are on the field.
That's so funny.
You are on the field. I need to get in there. I need to make sure I get it at least within 3 yards. That way it looks like it was thrown to you."
All right. I think this question was from earlier with Dave.
Yeah.
Let's see. Gabe Davis. Wait until he shows. Is he healthy? Roll with it. Gabe Davis, I think we're still on board with. Jake brought it up earlier. We think we see a 20% snap or target share this upcoming week. I understand that he was running on one leg this past week, but I think he's fine rolling into week 2 or week 5.
Yeah, I mean, you drafted him high off of what came last year, so I mean, you pretty much have to, I think.
All right, his other options. He did have other options. Let's see. Wilson, Penny, Pickens. I really like Pickens, but I need to wait to see. I really like Pickens.
Well, and I wanted to say this earlier when we were talking about Pickett. I'm not so invested in Pickett these next 2 or 3 weeks, but I am wanting to get invested more into the weapons that he has, because I think we saw what he could do with Pickens last week, and in that second half, and I think right now he's sitting at wide. Pickens is sitting at wide receiver 66 on the year. Oh, I bet you next week I look at it again, and I'll bet you he'll be in that 34, 35 range just in 1 week.
I will say once again, everybody, that I would tune into if you're doing flex questions, tune into our Sunday morning show at 11:30 Eastern time. But we go live for about an hour, and it gives us enough time to break down these matchups. I mean, right now we're still reeling from waivers. Like, we're literally going off a whim as to what could happen. If anybody tells you they know exactly what's going to happen on Wednesday, much less Sunday morning, but really Wednesday, it gives us some time to get educated on these certain situations. I spend typically 2 to 3 straight days prepping myself for the Sunday show. So Sundays are a lot more accurate than Wednesday nights. So make sure you guys hit subscribe on youtube.com/fantasyintervention, or of course be a part of the fantasy football discussion group so we can get accurate information for you. All right. Once again, we have another flex question: Kamara, J-Rob, or CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb. I don't really have any
if that's your flex, if that's your option in flex, you've got to go CeeDee Lamb, because he's at least getting the targets. Now, I will add one more thing to what you were just saying. We're talking about flexes on some of these. Get your players out that are playing tomorrow night. Get them out of the flex position so that we can talk about them on Sunday, or so that Chase can talk about them on Sunday. We just want to make sure that we put that out there. I know it's probably one of the most overplayed statements made in fantasy football, but you got to do it.
All right. We have a question asking, should somebody trade Keenan Allen for Waddle? And I would say hell yes.
You want Keenan or you want Waddle?
I want Waddle.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I want too.
I know that Keenan Allen's still the number one option in a pass-heavy offense led by Trevor Lawrence. But Trevor Lawrence now has Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has injuries on the offensive line. I know the defense looks terrible right now, but I think the defense kind of fixes themselves as the season goes on. I understand the upside that Keenan Allen has, but Keenan Allen has been sketchy at best in terms of which weeks you can start and which weeks you can. Meanwhile, Waddle, it's Waddle for me.
Yep, 100%.
All right, listen, we're going to get out of here. Make sure you guys hit subscribe on youtube.com/fantasyintervention. Once again, that's youtube.com/fantasyintervention. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you all for letting us intervene with your fantasy football life.